All right, with Robinson Jeffers' The Stars Go Over the Lonely Ocean, I thought it was useful to set a question with this. So, in your exam, maybe if you get one of these poems, you will get one of the poems in section B, and you won't necessarily know what to do with that straight away, but you should take some time to brainstorm all of the ideas, all of the quotes that you might remember from the poem, and paraphrase the themes and ideas, setting, atmosphere, persona, relationships, symbolism, etc. But then take time to really look at the question, write the question out in full at the top. So maybe we have a question here like, examine the relationship between the speaker and nature in the stars go over the lonely ocean. Well, if you had that, then you're off to a good start, because the title is nature, right? So I brainstorm all of those things. What is important about the stars? The stars are bright. They light up the sky. They help mariners navigate. The North Star is the fixed point that the mariners would look to fix themselves, to know in which direction to sail. The lonely ocean is personified. It sets a melancholic tone. That tone is appropriate for how the speaker is thinking and feeling. As they are isolated at the beginning of the poem, it's really important to look across at the overarching themes rather than do it chronologically, piece by piece, because then you'll be able to see the overarching whole. So what's this about? I think this is about someone who's lonely and isolated, detaching themselves from society and finding themselves potentially in quite a dangerous situation, like the far ridges of the mountains in the dead of night. By yourself is not really a place you should be, especially when there's the potential danger of the encounter with the black-maned boar. More of him later. This poem is set around the middle of the 20th century in the Second World War. Finland has fallen, although Daniel told me Finland didn't actually fall. It was certainly invaded, but repelled the Russian invasion in the Second World War. But that was the prelude for the global conflict and Europe's decimation in that period. So the boar acts as, in the end, a threatening figure, but then also later becomes something of a wise counsel and a guide, maybe a spiritual guide up on the mountain, and implores or advises the lonely, detached speaker to avoid all of the petty, hubristic, human squabbles, the liars, the believers, the dogs that talk about revolution. All of that's empty and vacuous, and those ideologues will be here today, gone tomorrow. But in nature we can find sustenance, we can find meaning, and we can look up to the heavens and we can see eternity, and that can help put our own problems in perspective. Okay, so I think you could look up, let's look at the opening. Unhappy about some far-off things that are not my affair, comma. So he is unhappy and detached, and also doesn't feel empowered. He doesn't feel connected to these issues. Has he been told he's not valuable, or he just doesn't want them to be a concern of his? And he's wandering along the coast and up the lean ridges, so the setting is one of isolation in nature. Malpaso Mountain you can find on the map. I think it's Spanish, isn't it? You could be forgiven for translating that as bad luck or bad step. It's Bad Step Mountain, which also gives a sense of a forbidding, dangerous place to be walking alone at night, especially when you see this black-maned boar. But first, while this detached, lonely person is experiencing some degree of isolation, and searching for something or escaping something, they look up and they see, I saw the stars go over the lonely ocean. So there's some beauty there. There's something. He can maybe, if it's that isolated, maybe he can navigate his way by moonlight, or the stars can help guide him, or he can just enjoy bathing in their beauty. But the ocean is also lonely. Now the black-maned boar obviously would be a danger, it would be a shock. And the black-maned boar, it kind of like, those plosive sounds are like the shuffling movement, the essence of the boar. Strong, muscular, black-maned as well, like aggressive the male. Also in a dark silhouette. If it's up the hill, it would be intimidating, looking down upon you. So is it dangerous? Well, no, because the next line, he's ploughing with his snout on a Malpaso mountain. And the boar is always doing what a boar does. It doesn't worry about him. It's not dangerous. It's not violent or confrontational. It just does boar-like things. Ploughing with his snout, tearing the sod, ploughing the fallow. So that builds eventually a sense of constancy and dependability. The old monster snuffled. Here are sweet roots, fat grubs, slick beetles and sprouted acorns. The old monster, so still shocking maybe, and monstrous, but snuffled as well. It's quite a nice sound, isn't it? He didn't shout, he snuffled. And he points out that on the ground there are the roots, there are the fat grubs. These beetles, these are the things in nature that will sustain the boar. So you're looking up there, you're looking for direction, you're looking for meaning, you're worried about some far off things. Look around you, connect with nature. Now he must be a wise boar, he must be something like a magical boar. That's called anthropomorphism, when an animal takes on human-like qualities. It's like all the Disney films. But this wise boar is aware of the troubles in Europe. But the stars go over the lonely ocean, so there's a moment of connection there. That's something about empathy, isn't it? Where you understand someone else's position, or you find that maybe this is a kindred spirit. I saw in the evening the stars. He points out the stars, and it's like, right, just remember. The stars go over the lonely ocean. They always have done. They always will do. I think Earth is 4.8 billion years old. Always stars will go over the ocean. The old black bristled boar and the alliterative bees there, black bristled boar, you really get a sense of the essence of the creature. Tearing the sod. So being connected, a visceral connection with nature. He provides more counsel in the third stanza. The world's in a bad way, my man, bound to be worse before it mends. Better lie up in the mountain here, 4 or 5 centuries, while the stars go over the lonely ocean. Well, so this is not, it's a magical boar, it's a mystical boar, it's an eternal boar, it's a boar that can survive the centuries. Maybe it's a boar that is so spiritual, it's almost a kind of Buddhist-like reincarnated creature of eternity. And so he and the mountains and the stars and the oceans, who have been around for millennia, millions of years, these temporary machinations of human beings, they'll come, they'll go. Human beings will come. That civilization, all those worries, all those will fade away if you put them against the perspective of the vastness of time, the ability of nature to endure. And at the end, more stridently, he offers very clear, stark advice, like he's been burnt. He recognizes a fool. Keep clear of the dupes. Dupes is liars, tricksters that talk democracy, and the dogs that talk revolution. We see quite a lot of that in the news, don't we? We just have to turn on the news, and there we have loudmouth, empty showmen making headlines, rattling sabers, banging the drum about division, about violence. We have hot wars, don't we? We've got hot wars in Israel and Gaza. We've got them in Ukraine and Russia at the moment. So the world is in trouble now. That's, I think, it's an elemental part of human nature. That's why I think this poem that was written close to 70 years ago, 80 years ago, like, well, best part of a century, still has resonance, because the world is in crisis. And as humans, how do we react to that? We might want to get away from things. We might find it overwhelming. But the boar dynamically changes to appear first as a threat, then to be a wise, consistent, dependable counsel figure, and at the end, strongly advocate for things you can trust. I believe in my tusks. They're here, right? They're dependable. No empty talk, no half-baked promises, but they're here, and they're part of me. I belong on this mountain. I'm connected, and I can live my life the way that I want to. Long live freedom. Damn the ideologies. It's a pretty good message for you, Year 11s, to not worry too much about what people are thinking, what's always in the headline, all the bad news and whatever else. Just try to reconnect, rejuvenate, and nature will help sustain.